Yes, bruv. My days. It's been a minute. I ain't been on there for time, bruv. I ain't done this podcast in a minute, fam. But yeah, I thought I would come on this hot off the back of the Crystal Palace game. It was a hard fought win yesterday. Well deserved, albeit. Obviously, it's two wins from two going into Saturday's game against Fulham. Really happy with the win. I felt like the game was under our control up until the red card, which was a bit unfortunate to say the least. The first yellow card from Tomoyasu came as a result of us time wasting. So obviously the refs a bit agitated because I think Havertz and someone else took a bit of time to release the ball. So when Tomiyasu's now about to take the throw in, takes a couple seconds and he gets the yellow card as a subsequent result of his teammates' time wasting. So it's almost like he took one for the team. In a sense, I feel like one of the players should have got a yellow because of the time wasting. So it was just unfortunate that Tommy got it. But the second one was a joke because it did look like a yellow at first. Like if from afar, it did look like it was a yellow. But when you actually see, when you see it up close and personal, you realize that I don't even think he touched him, or he may have like touched him as in just touched him, not even a push or nothing, no force. But that's not a yellow card. That's crazy. But yeah, I think is it Jordan Ayew? He fooled the referee. So obviously the yellow was given. So he had two yellows, was red carded, and we had our backs against the wall for the last half hour or so. We were under the cosh like that. I felt we was quite comfortable. We got into a good defensive shape. We brought on the likes of Kiwior, Zinchenko, Gabriel. Went to a 5-3-2 formation. Obviously, we had three defensive midfielders. We had Jorginho, Declan Rice, and Thomas Partey in midfield. Then you had Ben White as a right back. Then you had Saliba, Gabriel, Kiwior, and Zinchenko as a back five with Ramsdale on goal. And I think was it Havertz and someone else up top. So it was a bit mad up there, but at the end of the day, we got the job done in the end, and it was a hard fought victory. I just want to talk about the starting lineup. I was a bit surprised to see Thomas Partey continue as a right back in that game. I understood it to an extent against Nottingham Forest, wherein we was gonna dominate the game. Partey will come into midfield, and then it will just be like we have a lot of midfielders, and we'll just overload that middle of the park. But to see Gabriel dropped for this game, it's a bit. I don't know. Like when I saw that lineup, I wasn't best pleased. I thought he would win the game, nevertheless, but. I thought he would go. I thought he would draft in Gabriel, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see if he continues with this against Fulham because it may well do. And if he does, and Gabriel's still on the bench, would Gabriel now come in for the United game? That's a real question. But yeah, I just feel yeah, this is our first red in 2 seasons, and we didn't get a red card in the whole of last season, so it was good to show our resolve in a game that that was under control. We controlled it, we dominated. We weren't great. We didn't create a flurry of chances, but we were well worth the win. I felt like Martinelli was a bit, what's the word? Martinelli was not at his best. I feel like he had a great chance to get a shot off in the first 3, 4, 5 minutes of the game. Didn't really get the ball out of his feet. I feel like he should have at least worked the keeper. And after that, Crystal Palace got into a good shape. I felt like Tyrick Mitchell and what's his name, Bukayo Saka had a great battle there, as I anticipated, that I mentioned in the last podcast. Because I know that Mitchell's a kind of competitive character, and he was one that would feel he can handle Saka, and he did relatively well. Though I think Saka is one of the best in the world at spin and pin, as I call it. I'm gonna coin that phrase, where he'll kind of pin his fullback and then he'll spin very sharply and start bearing down on goal, whether he's gonna lay it off to someone like Odegaard or get a shot off. And yeah, he's got a good core strength and he's quite nimble and very got a lot of agility. So he's a threat in that sense. You don't really want to get too tight to Saka because he can just spin and pin you, like I mentioned. But yeah, it'll be interesting now. Obviously, in the first two games, we've lost our left back. In the first game, we obviously lost Jurien Timber for 7 months, unfortunately. And in the second game, we've obviously lost Takahiro Tomiyasu to a ban. So he'll be banned for one game. He'll miss the Fulham game, but he'll be back in contention for that huge Man United game at the beginning of September. So that begs the question now, who will start at left back for that Fulham game? Kieran Tierney hasn't been in the squad for the past two games, which now leads me to believe that he will be leaving the club. And the thing is now, obviously Zinchenko is probably in pole position to start that Fulham game on Saturday. We also have Kiwior, that's an option there. And you'll probably have to say Tierney's. But if Tierney doesn't make the bench for that game, then you're thinking, rah, yeah, he's definitely gone. Even though he's definitely gone. Do you get what I'm saying? But yeah, I wanna play the Arteta post match interview and see what he's got to say about this hard fought victory. I'm sure he'll be waxing lyrical about Declan Rice.
The cameras ready at the back. We'll kick off with John.
Michel, that was really a big win by the lads today.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. It's a really difficult place to come. We played the way we wanted to play, 11 against 11. We dominated again. We created enough chances. We missed two very, very huge chances. And normally he puts them away, but we never gave up. We continue playing the way we wanted to continue. Eddie earned us the right to go ahead with his action, score the penalty. And then we have to play half an hour with 10 men, which is a context that obviously we didn't prepare, but we had to adapt. And I think the players were fantastic because I don't think that we give anything away. The shots were great, the way they came out, the concentration, the focus, how much they helped the team, the coaching, they changed momentum in many occasions of the game. So really happy.
I mean, for him to say Eddie normally puts them away, I'm not sure about that. The thing with Eddie is that I was going to talk about Eddie a bit later on, but I might as well mention him now. I felt Eddie did well in that game. For me, I want to give him a little run in the side and see how he fares, see how many goals he can get. So obviously the first game he managed to get himself a goal. Didn't have much to work with in that game, but he got himself a goal nevertheless. Second game, he manufactured himself a couple opportunities, 2 or 3 chances to score. However, he did win the penalty, which led to the goal that won us the game. So you could argue, job done in that case. For me, that earns him another opportunity against Fulham. He has a great scoring record at the Emirates. I'm backing him to get on the score sheet probably once or twice in that game. So for me, he starts in the next game as well due to his performance and persistence. However, I want to mention with Arteta saying he normally puts them away, I'm not too sure about that because I don't think he's the most clinical. But what I will say is he's someone that's not scared to miss chances. I felt like the first chance he had was a great bit of skill, improvisation to get himself into that position, but I think he should have scored. Second goal was the wrong choice of finish. I think he tried to chip the keeper. There was many other finishes he could have chose, but the third instance where he won the penalty, I'm happy with that. So I'm willing to give the boy some chances. He's earned himself a little shot at the side, especially with Gabriel Jesus missing. On the subject of the 10 men, yeah, we didn't prepare for 10 men. Who does? But what we did do is we adapted to the situation, saw out the game, got the points on board. At a very hostile and raucous arena in Selhurst Park, where Crystal Palace really get behind the fans, especially under the lights in a Monday evening game where they probably would have felt that they could have been a banana skin for us. But no, from what I saw, the game was well and truly under control from pretty much the first minute to the last.
Hello, look very, very harsh. Did you see it like that?
I prefer not to make comments because for me it's so obvious.
That is a comment though.
Thanks.
Hi, Michel. It's 2 games in a row. Gabriel's been on the bench. Signing clubs are interested in him. Does that in any way inform his selection decision?
Nothing at all. It's about the games that we were expecting, that I was expecting, how I wanted to defend and attack, and what I would believe that it was the best thing. He's played in both games. He helped us to win both games for different reasons. He was really good today. He absolutely dominated the box when he came on, and he's gonna play a lot of games. But that's decision sometimes.
So basically, what he's saying is the fact that Gabriel was on the bench was because he anticipated that we're going to have the lion's share of possession. When I say the lion's share, I mean probably 2/3 of the ball, 65% of the ball, where you can now place Thomas Partey as a right back stroke centre midfielder. So obviously he'll start off as a right back, run into the centre midfield, just like Zinchenko does on the other side. Then you put in Ben White, who, when Partey goes into the midfield, Ben White goes into right back. So it's almost like White as a right back. Then it's kind of lopsided with Saliba as a centre back. And who was the left back? Yeah, Tomiyasu kind of as a centre back as well. Which means Kai Havertz is kind of on the left of midfield with, what's his name? Martinelli on the left wing, wide. And then obviously Saka's wide with Odegaard on the right of midfield. Then you got Declan Rice kind of in the middle of Tomiyasu and what's his name? William Saliba with Eddie Nketiah up front. So it was kind of a different formation when we're with the ball to when we're without the ball. And yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the fact it worked because we got the 3 points in each game. However, it's not really something many Arsenal fans want to see going forward, with Gabriel on the bench and Thomas Partey as a right back.
In any office returning, right? Alex from Lucy.
Hi, Michel.
Aye.
How are you finding, and the players finding, the time wasting involved to deal with? That's how Tomiyasu picked up his third yellow card. You think like there's a few issues?
For me, that's not an issue, if the referee makes that call, and we are consistent with that. I think they explain it. The only thing that we are asking is for consistency. And if not, we need to play with a stopwatch to understand what is it and what is not.
Fine.
Hi, Michel. Did we see tonight why you said to sign Declan Rice with this performance?
Hopefully we saw a little bit, but I think it was great. I think he was bossing midfield. I think he dominated the game. He was very influential, both attacking and defending. And he has started to grow. Today he played in a different position than last week because what we expected from Palace and what we needed there. And I think he was really good.
James, can you speak?
On Tomiyasu's second yellow, is there an issue here with the way the VAR is used? Because on second yellow, they can't intervene to rescind it, but they can intervene to upgrade it. Is that a kind of anomaly that needs to be resolved?
Yeah, obviously Declan Rice's obviously Declan Rice's performance was just showcased why we spent all that money on him. It's a typical Declan Rice performance when he's at West Ham, where he's kind of driving with the ball, winning the ball back, being aggressive, being a leader. Just all those traits that we were missing from a midfielder he brought to the side. And in the games where your back's to the wall and you're under the cosh and you need people to kind of, grab the ball by the horns, you expect him to step up, and he did step up, and he was a big part of why we won yesterday. And hopefully he can continue that in the bigger games, so we can kind of make the difference and make up the points that we lost to Man City last season, because there's obviously going to be bigger obstacles and hurdles going forward.
To rescind it, but they can intervene to upgrade it. Is that a kind of anomaly that needs to be resolved?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the solution. The decision is made. We're not going to change it now. We adapted to it. Unfortunately, we made the game obviously much tougher, and normally you're going to drop points when you have to play in this league for 30 minutes away from home. To survive the way we did is not something usually happens, but we are so happy that we overcome that big hurdle.
Martin, now you're busy.
I had no clue, to be fair. It's about leadership of players.
Do you know what? When he first said this, I didn't believe him. But apparently Saka thought he was going to take the penalty, but then something happened and Odegaard suddenly took the penalty. So I don't know what about that. I need to check the footage. But yeah, for me, Saka's missed a couple penalties. We've got people like Odegaard, we've got people like Jorginho. I just feel like, if you miss 2 penalties, I think, the next guys should get the opportunity to take a penalty. There's nothing personal. It's just about getting the ball in the back of the net and winning the points. And at the end of the day, that decision was obviously vindicated because Martin scored and we won. Based on the fact he scored the penalty. So, he gets to take the next one for me, unless Jorginho's on the pitch.
And if they felt it was the right thing to do, for me, I'm fine. They have to make those decisions on the pitch. I was surprised like everybody else. They made that. He scored the goal, which is the important thing, and we won the game.
Okay, last couple, Sam.
Cam, it was quite interesting seeing that team at the end. Just a lot of big players, tall players, defensive players, strong players, clearing away, dominating the box. How nice is it to have that option now that you can do that and bully teams with that?
Well, when you have to develop a squad, and there are certain things that a squad has to have to be successful and win and be consistently at the very best, and that's what we are trying to do, and that means that different profiles are needed, and when we have to take the game and be very physical, we are capable of doing that.
Finally, go to Nick.
You got two wins from two very tight games that were scraps at some point, both of them. When you look at the two performances together, do you think you've come close yet to the level that you want to see this season?
No, because we have to put the ball in the net more often, and especially with the dominance that we are having in games, we have to do that more often. But this is the most difficult thing in football. So if you don't do that, then you have to do the other part, which.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we did have a stronghold on both games. I feel like both games were quite similar in the pattern of how the game went, where we kind of dominated the game, had all of the ball, didn't really give the opposition much of a shout in the game, but we didn't create as much as we would have liked. We didn't take as many chances as we would have liked, and obviously on another day we could have drew that Forest game. In a game we should have won 4-5-0. And the Crystal Palace one, I felt Martinelli should have at least forced a great save from the keeper early on. The game kind of petered out a little bit, but I felt like we had a couple chances. We hit the post through Nketiah, don't forget. He shot over the bar. So, we could have been 2 or 3-0 up at the game. But then again, it could have ended up in a situation where we could have drew or even lost the game. We could have given away a penalty or whatnot. So, we need to definitely work on creating more chances and killing off teams, especially when you're having such a lion's share of the possession. We need to make that count.
Have to be extremely solid, and we were last week, and we were today with the chances that we conceded. So let's keep playing better and evolving.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, but no, listen, yeah, I'm really happy with the fact that we've got 2 wins from 2. That's the main thing, getting points on the board at this stage of season. This time last season, we were playing out of the world football, and we probably can say we ran out of steam. The thing is, we not playing amazingly. We're playing all right, between average and good. But we're getting the points on the board, and I expect us to beat Fulham on Saturday going into that United game at the Emirates. What I will say though is I really fear for a team that runs into us when we play well, because I think it's going to click eventually, and when it does, someone's going to get a real hiding. But I just want to save our really good performances for later down the line, because it's going to be a long slog of a season, and you don't really want to play your best at first. You don't want to show too many of your cards. But the good thing about it is we've got many options, as shown by the fact that we're different to last season. We can either put Partey as a inverted right back, or we could even put him on the bench because we've got Declan Rice. People like Zinchenko aren't even guaranteed starters anymore. Even Gabriel, who for me, alongside Saliba, is the best pairing in the league. So, there's so many things we can do, especially up front as well. We've got people like Trossard that can't get in the team, and he's been outstanding. So yeah, what I will do, I just want to talk about the Fulham game and what my starting 11 would be and why. So obviously in goal, I'm going to stick with Aaron Ramsdale. He hasn't really put a foot wrong this season. He got himself a clean sheet, hopefully the first of many this season. However, David Raya is going to be breathing down his neck. I just think Ramsdale should continue in goal, and we'll go from there. At right back, I'm going to put Ben White back in there. Back in his habitat, I think. Excellent tackler. Links up really well with Bukayo Saka. Hopefully them two can kind of reunite, because his overlapping really brings the best in Saka and gives him options to either play it out to White or to kind of cut in, as he'll kind of he'll obviously distract the left back with his run. So Ben White as a right back. Then in centre back, I would have William Saliba alongside Gabriel. Just as I've mentioned, for me, that's the best pairing in the league. And at left back, I'll bring in Oleg Zinchenko. I think he managed to get himself some minutes in that behind closed door fixture against Luton. He obviously played against Palace yesterday. So I think if he can get himself some minutes, maybe an hour in this game, he can build up his match fitness ahead of that big United game. So I think I'll bring in Zinchenko. Then I'll put in Thomas Partey as a holding midfielder. He's been quite good this season. Under the radar how good he's been, but because he's been played out of position. But I felt he did all right from the position he was playing in. So I'll put him there. And then I'll obviously put the player of the match, Declan Rice, to his left, with the captain and talisman and match-winning winner, Martin Odegaard in midfield to his right. Obviously, Saka and Martinelli will be the wingers, needless to say. But I'm going to stick with Nketiah, like I mentioned earlier. I feel he's done well in the first opening 2 games. Got himself a goal, got himself an assist, if you like, won the penalty. Could have got a couple more goals, but hopefully he does get on the score sheet against Fulham. And yeah, we'll go from there. But for me, Nketiah just about keeps his place in the side. People like Trossard will need to bide their time, but I feel like in due course he will get his minutes. He will get into the team. He just needs to be patient, because I expect him to come off the bench and do something, whether it's get a goal or assist. My prediction for that game, I would say, I think we're going to win that game 2-0. It could be 3 or 4, but I'm going to stick with a 2-0 victory. I'm going to go 2-0 to Arsenal. Hopefully we can get our season up and running with a good performance and a clean sheet going into that United game, which I'm going to be up for. All right, let's go.